What we have here is a car that Reflections did not want us to drive, despite being an amazing car in so many ways. I mean, just look at her. She's beautiful. It's a 74 Monaco, decked out in BAPD livery, and of course outfitted with a gorgeous aerodynamic light bar. It's a car that's got a good interior view. As you can see, the textures are pretty high res, and the speedometer is very, very easy to read, should you care enough to want to read it. It does get inaccurate above, I think, 90 miles an hour. Obviously, the needle goes a lot faster. It goes further than your actual speed. But it's okay, because there are a lot of redeeming qualities of this car. It's grippy, and it's a very confidence-inspiring car. Now, just watch this. I'm gonna hoon this thing like crazy. I'm gonna buck 20, buck 30, just ripping through here. And it's grippy. Look at this thing. It's holding the road. It doesn't, it doesn't mind to be pushed. There aren't too many cars that don't mind being pushed like that. I mean, just being abused, basically, just asked to do crazy things like go fast and hold the road. And this thing doesn't stop very well compared to other cars. I mean, probably the king of braking it's got to be the 86 Camaro Z28 out of all the cars that I like, or at the very least out of all the cars in my very small fleet of cars that I drive in this game.
This is more like it.
The Camaro's got the best brakes. This thing's got pretty good brakes too, and like the Camaro, it's very easy to launch, as you'll see. I just want to demonstrate the light bar here first. I mean, oh yeah, there you go. Just look at that. It's classic. This reminds me of the Dukes of Hazzard cop cars they had in the TV series. Similar cars. Very, very similar light bars. Probably, if not identical. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Launching this car, it takes a while for you to get into the rev limiter, despite being a low-revving engine, but you're just launching, just like that. It's very easy, just a little bit of tire chirping, but no... Oh, sorry, I got hiccups. It doesn't over-rev, and it's just an easy car. It doesn't fishtail like crazy like some other cars do. The GT500, the 2010 GT500 is probably one of the hardest cars to launch properly, because you have to throttle vector like crazy. This thing, you don't have to. And as you saw with the brakes, like I said before, these brakes are something else. For a car of this size and this weight, it stops really well. Problem is, there are other cars on the road, and most of these other cars stop a lot quicker than this one. But the brakes, they work. As I say, they're okay. They're not something I would trust my life in, but the other parts of the car are so good, it's okay. I mean, it sounds amazing. You just have to love that. And it's got grip, as you'll see. Because this corner here is a decreasing radius corner. And I'm flat foot right until right about now. I lift off, and then it just slowly starts to tuck in. Now, of course, the car has limits to the grip, and that you can, if you want to drift, you can like that, but because it's slow to react, as you saw, it's kind of hard to make it stop drifting once you make it start to drift, and it won't come out of the drift quickly, so you end up snagging mirrors and other things, all the good stuff, but it's okay. I mean, this is definitely, if I were to classify this car in the police class, it'd be a tougher, less good handling version of the Crown Vic that sounds and looks a hell of a lot better. I mean, I have more fun with this than I do with the Crown Vic. I mean, the Crown Vic, you could drive in the oncoming lane, and you have good brakes, you have a little bit better grip as well. I mean, the brakes especially, holy cow, what a difference. But the Crown Vic does not have the character of the Monaco. It will never have the sound, or the look, or the feel. And you see there, it's an easy car to drive. It's not a car that'll punish you for wanting to have a little bit of fun. It's not a car that's going to punish you. The only reason it's drifting here is because I'm making it drift. If you just lift off a little bit, it'll just go right up there. I mean, it's just like the Crown Vic. If you want it to grip, you normally just stay right on the power. You use the brakes a bit if you need to. It's just phenomenal. As you'll see, I'm going to, once again, just hammer it through the section. You try doing this in the Camaro, you'll be okay. You try doing this in the Shelby, I don't know. As you see with the brakes, it's weird. It's just, going downhill, the brakes aren't as weak as I thought they would be. I thought this thing would be taking several acres to stop, to be honest, but it's not bad. You can go right back to hooning it. It just picks right up and goes. See? Comes right back down to a stop. As long as you don't lock the brakes, they're okay. The keyword being they're okay. They're not great. They're not amazing. They're not things you should trust. Obviously, you should trust the grip. Oh, there I locked them a little bit. but see, notice how much longer my stopping distance became. A little bit of I love how it does one-wheel peels. The Crown Vic does the same thing. It does these stupid-ass one-wheel peels. Even the 86 Camaro will do that, too. It's really weird. You think these cars, well, they're good cornering, would have positive traction or a track lock or some sort of limited slip system. You know, Torsen differential, something like that. Whoa! Look how close that was. Now here, as you're starting to see, this is not a small car. I mean, if I ever go back to first person, I probably will later, you'll see the hood is very long. It looks... Oh, here we go. And just because it's a big car doesn't mean you can't get away with stuff like that. You just need to be careful, because while this car may have the grip of a sports car, may have the acceleration of a sports car, it is not a sports car. This is some giant beast of sorts. It's a huge car. And look at, I mean, just the width alone. Look at that. I just kissed that cement mixer's quarter panel. Probably got some scratches in my passenger side recorder from that. Yeah, this is a car where if you want to do something crazy like driving the oncoming lane on the highway, which I will do eventually, you need to really plan it out. I mean, even oncoming lane in the city can be a little bit dangerous, as you saw. It's because the lanes aren't wide enough. I mean, thankfully the car's got grip, but grip doesn't mean anything when you press for space. But you can always evade. You can always just quickly switch. You can find another way around. As long as you don't lock the brakes, you should be able to handle it. Just don't think you're gonna be like the 86 Camaro or the whatever other cars will like to drive really well in the oncoming lane. You know, probably the Crown Vic, you can drive in the oncoming lane pretty dang quick. Yeah, on the highway as well. You can drive quick. Now, of course, the suspension, it's surprisingly firm. Oh, just totally killed my roof there. Gotta love how these cars don't take any roof damage. All the lights are still working. The Mustang must have been thinking, what the hell? But yeah, as you'll notice with this car, the suspension's a lot firmer than you think it is. I mean, you see a bit of body roll, of course, but it's not bad. The Charger, the 69 Charger's got more body roll, and it's got more brake dive. Or front brake dive, I should say. This thing, I mean, look at how it just launched. It's nice and clean. Yeah, it'll chirp the tires a little bit. Now, for the jump. You take it at a weird angle. Okay, whatever. Little bouncy. As you see, it does bottom out a little where porpoises, because the spring rates are a little high. It's not bad, though. It really isn't bad. You just have to... This car definitely takes some getting used to, though, especially if you come from driving something like the GT500 or the Camaro Z28, where you used to be able to just cut and weave in every tight corner and being able to stop on the dime, which would have been nice because I could have taken the LA before this one I just drove onto. This isn't really a cruising car. This isn't... But it's not a sporting car either. It's a strange hybrid because, like I said, it's got the grip of a sports car. It's got the acceleration, I think, of a sports car. It's got suspension of a sports car. I mean, it bottomed out though. You do that in a Crown Vic, it won't matter. You do that in the Camaro, it might bottom out a little. You do it in the Charger, it won't count. Now, Russian Hill is where we're going to be going next. This is where you really see what happens when you push the car really, really hard. I just want to get it repaired. Now, see what I mean about the grip. You can, just a tiny bit of steering slip, but it holds. You try doing that with the 2010 Shelby GT500. You try doing those left, right. It's gonna break loose in no time. Even the Camaro Z28 would probably be breaking loose by the end of that little jerk left and right moment there. It probably would at least be skidding. See more. Look at this. Just grips. There is a bit of body roll. You can definitely see it, but it's not as bad as I thought it was. I mean, what do you think when you think of 1974 Dodge Monaco, besides the Blues Brothers? What do you think of how it drives? It's a bit soft. Not really. Notice how it doesn't really give? It just... Look at... See? See how it bounces? It throws itself around? It's weird. It feels really weird when you're doing it. But the car will actually not spin itself out. See, they're a porpoised. It's so weird. See, there is okay, but... I gotta turn around eventually. Now, more brakes, watch this. I'm not stopping in time at all. But, you can't not love this car. As you saw, the brakes were not amazing. But I didn't hit that wall. I didn't hit that delivery truck. Now for more suspension testing. I just have to, you have to really see this thing. It's a very weird car. So, that was okay. But it starts bouncing side to side. It likes to do a lot of side-to-side bounce. It likes to porpoise, too, over little bumps, as you see. It's got some scrapes or sparks. See? This is where it gets really Boom! Boom! Look at that. Oh my goodness. But it doesn't, you know, unlike other cars, finally, Shelby, this thing doesn't spin out or track improperly as it does that. It just kind of just throws itself around. I guess it's just a feisty motherfucker. I don't know. It's just weird. I mean, there are a lot of cars would not react the same way this thing does if they porpoise, or especially if they jarred themselves over the bumps. Yeah, I'm gonna go back through here again. See, look at that. But it doesn't spin out. It holds the road. If it wasn't for that grip, I would probably be calling this thing a toilet. A cool sounding, good looking, but still a toilet. But it's not. See, it'll get a little skittish. It'll get a little questionable. But this car will never ever screw you on a jump. You just need to be paying attention. You just need to be ready, and be ready to use that grip and that roll hold. That's what it's there for. I mean, look at that. Look at how porpoise there. You know, what 70s cop car does that? I thought the 70s were about luxury interiors and all that lovely stuff, not about sports cars. This BAPD Monaco makes me suggest otherwise. Fine. It's a weird car, but it's a good kind of weird. It's a car that's got attributes of a sports car and attributes of a muscle car. It's got the durability. That's kind of weird. I mean, what kind of car in its class has this kind of acceleration with this kind of durability? Obviously, I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I feel if you shift out of the vehicle and compare this to other cars in its class, you know, the full-size sedan or the muscle class, the Monaco Cop car is pretty dang competitive. It's weird to have that combination of durability, roll holding, and acceleration. It's a cool combination. Of course, there has to be a trade-off, though, and that's the brakes. That's okay. And actually, it's a good thing this thing is as strong as it is, because early on you will be clipping a lot of things. It's not uncommon to get nickel and dime to death with this car. You think, oh, you know, a couple little dings. Oh boy, that was a little close. Little dings and scrapes here and there, you know, whatever. But it's not. You will eventually get killed, so it's worth learning this car's quirks and just learning to deal with how wide it is. It's a long car, too. I forget a side profile view. It's a very long car. I mean, you can get T-boned at intersections. Wow, that could have been bad. Notice how close I was. Everything you do with this car in close quarters, you have to really practice. You got to know what you're doing. This isn't a car you can just take on the oncoming lane on the highway and just expect to not get hit. It's just too wide. Width is probably its biggest enemy. It's also a good thing, though, because you can block roads with it. You can hit cars easier with it, which, depending on where you are in pursuit, this may or may not be a good thing. But ooh, baby. See there, look, that gap was between the Crown Vic on the left and that Impala LS in front of me. It was too narrow. I wasn't confident to do it, because not only was it too narrow, but it wasn't long enough either. It wasn't, this thing's like 20 feet long. I mean, look at that thing. Look at how long that wheelbase is. That's insane. And they got a couple extra feet in the trunk than a Crown Vic, and it's wider. But that's okay, because this car's amazing. You just have to, it's something worth getting. I mean, I'll post a link to the mod in the video description. As you see with more roll holding, just like with the Crown Vic, you can hammer this thing onto the off-road. I mean, it'll take it a little bit wide, but it'll grip right on through you. You don't see this thing fishtailing or kicking its tail out. Oncoming, I'm not going to go oncoming yet. Now, in the same way of traffic, this thing's fine. You've got plenty of time to react. It's not bad. You have time to plan your approach to get through all this traffic. And it's a good thing, because this car is way too wide. See? Little gap between that Challenger and the big box trunk there. You can just go right on through. Now, let's try the oncoming lane as soon as we can. Okay, there we go. I give it not even 10 seconds before I crash. And believe me, I'm not trying to do this. I'm trying my damnedest not to crash. But it's too hard. The car is way too wide. And it's pretty quick, so you find yourself in a situation where you have very little time to react. And especially when the traffic gets thick, like it's going to here. Oh, this can't happen.
Not a problem.
Just gotta love that. These these AI-controlled cop cars are a bigger threat than me. Holy cow. I mean, the oncoming on the highway is probably the worst place for this car. It's gonna get bogged down. At the very least, you're gonna drive slowly. At the very worst, you're gonna die. It's horrible. I mean, and since you have to keep dancing across lanes, you're gonna reach the limits of the grip, and it's gonna start to drift, and it's just gonna be very. I almost killed this thing for running. Let's see what happens. It's not bad. It's not too bad now. It's gonna get thicker though. Yeah, even if you stay towards the outskirts, you're eventually gonna have to get back onto the city streets. Oh, yep, there we go. just lovely. Just lovely. It's so weird, because traffic doesn't always... That's another problem as well. Traffic does not always yield to you. And other times, like with that red car and the red Mach 1, they make it even tighter. I don't understand. I mean, if you see a vehicle with flashing lights and wailing sirens, I at least would just slow down. I wouldn't try and box them in. Oh, that's gonna do it. Oh, good thing there's an off-ramp right here. Holy crap. Get me out of this dump. It's so bad. But notice how long it took for this car to get to this point. It's not even dead yet. It's got, you know, maybe 20% health, maybe even that. It still runs, still drives, still holds the road. Just a little bit slower than before. It sounds awful. Hopefully my lights aren't working very well now. I mean, I got some of the spinning lights working, just not all. That's okay. I'll get that fixed. It's a good thing this... I mean, seriously, it's a good thing this car is as tough as it is. This is SUV-like level 0 body, which makes sense. It's body on frame, steel bumpers, steel body panels. Now, of course, we have to have a little bit more fun. We're just going to go flying through here. Hard on the brakes. Actually, I locked them there. No, I just didn't brake enough. I forgot this thing has a little bit of understeer. It's good that it does, though. A little bit of understeer goes a long way towards making a car forgiving and safe to drive. I mean, if you ask me what I would rather drive for 24 hours in this game, Monaco cop car. Definitely. I mean, compared to this GLB GT500, I wouldn't say they're polar opposites, but they're pretty close. The 500 is more skittish and crazy and very quick. This thing is not super quick, at least compared to the GT500, but it's very forgiving. And of course, now we have to... Ooh, baby! Holy cow, I'm amazed I did not hit anything. Holy cow. See what I mean with traffic sometimes swerving towards you? It does that in GTA sometimes. And, you know, GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, traffic's just evil. See there on the off-ramp, it drifted. Yeah, of course it drifted on that off-ramp, but it didn't do that initially. I really had to hammer it. I was wide open throttle. That's kind of weird. It actually didn't porpoise or bottom itself out. It just kind of landed flat. It doesn't usually do that. The suspension of this car is really weird. But it all works, and this thing doesn't mind curbs. It's just a great car. I mean, why would anyone drive anything else? At the very least, why would anyone drive anything else in the police car series? And I probably wondering more about this mod. It replaces the police Corvette with the Dodge Monaco. I wouldn't do anything any differently. I wouldn't mind replacing the the Escalade with the Aston Nissan XT, but I don't know, probably later. As you see here, if you poke this thing with a big enough stick, it will drift, but it'll understeer as well. See how it's pushing there? It just kind of kept going on straight, and then it only drifted after I hit the brakes, and then reapplied the throttle. It makes sense. This is more of a gripping car than a drifting car by a lot. It's got built-in. It's got a lot of grip in the chassis, more than I expected, probably more than you expect, and it also has understeer. So yeah, you really probably shouldn't drift it. You can if you want. You can have a little bit of fun, but it's not what the car is designed to do. And if you don't like that, well then whatever. Then fuck you, because the Monaco is awesome, and it don't care. The brakes aren't bad at all. You just have to. As long as you're playing a couple moves ahead in this proverbial game of chess. At least in close quarters. On the highways, you can just react to things as they come, as long as you stay in the same way. And below a certain speed, you're fine. But it's just a different style of driving, but I really like it. And getting to know this car has been a lot of fun. Ooh, a little bit of front brake dive. Not as bad as I thought, though. I mean, not as bad as the GT500, the Camaro Z28, especially the Charger. Oh boy, I wonder if I'll get hit here. I don't know. Oh, got a couple Monacos there. Here comes the third one. Nice. Oh, that's beautiful. They look so good. They look good from any angle. So there you have it.